All right, we should be firing up here in just a second. How's it going, everybody? This is the Osmo.com NHL Strategy Show on a Monday. That means Slim Cliffy is here. How you doing, man? How was the weekend treating you for NHL DFS?
Uh, Not the best. I think I actually bageled on Friday, like a full out bagel.
Uh,
And I think it was the first time that happened this year, and I don't even know what went wrong, but a little bit better on Saturday, but Friday was just miserable.
yeah, I think I had a pretty poor Friday as well, and then Saturday was okay. Yesterday I got top five in the $8, but I think I only won like a few dollars because of how bad the contests are on Sundays. But yeah, it was mostly focused on football, and now ready for this barn burner of a five-game slate. Um, so we actually have a couple things. So we've got, is my sound bad, they're saying? I'll move my mic closer to me. I can never tell if it's one person or everyone's yelling at me. So let me know, guys, if I sound better now. But we have a couple things we got to talk about. First of all, showdown rankings for NFL are free today. We've got our normal free stuff. Uh, let's see. Here is the link. I sound staticky. All right, let me move it up here. Maybe that's a little bit better, or something's not plugged in or something. Uh, I don't really know what's going on, but anyways, Showdown rankings are free today. Osmo's NBA game plan live stream is also free today, so go check that out if you are playing NBA today. That's actually, you'd have to watch that on delay, I guess, if you're watching right now, because Alex is going live in just a minute. And then we also have the NHL lineup builder is also free today as well. So go check this one out if you guys want to build some lineups. All right, man. So that's the free stuff. We also have one cheap thing we've got going on. It is Cyber Monday. Are you a big Cyber Monday shopper?
Not particularly, but I will be checking out what's going on for Xbox games because somebody told me there's a few crazy deals, so I
Okay.
might be picking up a few games here soon.
Well, I mean, you don't have to do this because you are already, you've got your membership and all that stuff, but we've got a Cyber Monday special going on. Pretty exciting. It is a $1 special. You use the promo code Cyber Monday, super easy, and you get 1 week of Osmo Plus Platinum. Just $1. You can cancel if you want, if you don't like the content or if it's not what you're looking for after the few days. Cancel whenever you want. You can stop auto rebuild. You will be rebuild if you don't cancel, but if you do like us and you join Slack and all that stuff, it's $29.95 value that you're getting for $1. So pretty cool. No reason not to try it out if you can afford the $1. Don't need to do anything. You just use the code. And we've already had a bunch of people sign up. So go take advantage of that if you haven't already. Promo code is Cyber Monday. I'll mention this a couple more times throughout the show as more people join. But yeah, really cool deal. I'm going to do some Cyber Monday shopping. I'm going to just check out what's on Target and, see what I impulse buy that probably is a bad buy, even with the discounts. That's what I usually do. Get stuff that I don't really need. But if you guys are looking to join a DFS site, come see what we're about. Use the projections, ownership projections, all that stuff. Premium Slack, premium articles. You get it for $1 for a full week. So pretty cool. Lineup study. Usually look at Saturday slate since Friday or since Sunday's contests are super small. So I've got Saturday up. Draft Charge took down the $10 once again. He's been playing really, really well and took it down once again. It was a really good night for the 150 maxes. If you guys see my screen right here, looks like I'd say like 15 or 16 of the top 20 lineups or 20 users in the $10 this night were 150 maxers. So Testosterone, Osmo, I was up there, Tom was up there, Slewfoot. So it looks like it ended up being a really good night for the mass multi-entry players. Draft charts took it down. Actually cleared everyone by like 16 or 17 points. Vancouver 2. I guess Vancouver hybrid stack. Horvat, Pearson on that second line. Brock Besser for the Horvat power play correlation. And then that was the night that Colorado 1 just went completely nuclear. Were you on Colorado 1 that night at all? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was, and they kind of saved me, but I didn't have Vancouver. I had Arizona, so couldn't quite get to the top.
Yeah, so Vancouver, Tanner Pearson had a huge night. I think Louis Eriksson got in on it somehow. But Bogosian, I mean, he didn't really even need him. 3 points, just needed someone closer to min salary. And then Strawman was the min salary guy that scored 24.3. So anytime you get 24.3 out of Strawman, and you got McKinnon, and you got Horvat and Brock Besser, and they did their thing. Didn't even need a big goalie performance either. I mean, he just had the nut forwards all over the place. So yeah, I mean, great job by him. Got third place as well for good measure. Looks like this one was Detroit with Colorado 1. But yeah, if you didn't have Colorado 1, you might have survived a couple hours into the slate, but basically as soon as that second period started, and you didn't have McKinnon, Rantanen, and Donskoy, you were just dead. So they were just so good and nuked the slate pretty quick there.
And that even includes Ovechkin getting a hat trick with 2 empty net goals.
Yeah, I was
Like
tilting that.
it didn't really end up mattering in the end.
Right, I was like, oh man, Washington 1 got there with the 2 goals. They had a full line goal, I think, towards the end of that game as well. So I thought I was dead because I didn't have much Washington 1. But yeah, Colorado 1 was just crazy. When McKinnon's right, like there's like no worse fade in DFS, right? I mean, maybe like the Tampa power play last year, but like they haven't even crushed the slate that much this year. So yeah, it's just the worst trying to fade McKinnon. I would advise against it, if you like money. But yeah, let's talk about the 5 games today. What are your overall thoughts on this slate? We've talked about it a little bit off air, but you want to just tell people kind of what you're thinking here? Is this a good 20 max slate? Is it a good, single lineup, 150 max? What are you thinking here?
I mean, there's so many different places you can go because I think, obviously there's a couple obvious spots here tonight. Vegas going into face New York. It's probably the best road matchup for a team possible. Like the Rangers are one of the worst defensive teams in the NHL. They take a ton of penalties. Vegas is really good. It's just the problem is, one, they're balanced across their top 2 lines, and 2, they're pretty expensive for a road line. Like you're paying over 19K, whether you're going Vegas 1 or Vegas 2. So that's kind of the problem there. And the Islanders are in a good spot as well. Obviously, going into Detroit just looks absolutely abysmal, especially since Anthony Mantha got hurt. They just look toothless, whether offensively or defensively. So I imagine the Islanders are going to carry a fair share of ownership as well. But really, outside of those 2 and maybe Buffalo, there's no other real obvious spots to go here tonight. So I think it's one of those nights where I understand wanting to play 20 max or 150 MME or something like that, just because if you can avoid Vegas, let's just say you fade Vegas and they don't go off, you're probably going to leapfrog 25% of the field. The problem is that there are some lines and lineups that we don't have, so you're going to have to pay attention to. One, to your roster construction to make sure that you have spots that you can switch late in the games. Make sure all your late game guys are in the util. Make sure that you have some late defensemen in case you need to swap and make some salaries work. Stuff like that. Because Chicago didn't run lines today and they have some players out. Anaheim didn't run lines today and they have some players out. I didn't see anything from Los Angeles either. So when you have those late spots, bad teams, but I mean, they're almost all bad teams today. You have to really sit around and be willing to make that late swap. So it's one of those nights where if you have nothing else, nothing going on and you don't mind staying up till 10 or 11 o'clock or whatever, just keeping an eye on lineup news, I think there's an advantage to the potential late swaps that people are going to have to make, and they're not going to make them or not be able to make them, or they have poor roster construction, things like that. So if you can pay attention to the details today, I think you can do well, but that's probably not the case for most people. Most people have jobs and wives or husbands and kids, and sometimes they have to go coach. Maybe they have a part-time job they have to get to and stuff like that. So, anybody like that, I'd say it's a perfect night just to do one lineup and then walk away.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Like I'll be around, so I'll be looking to make those late swaps. And I think I've got 100 in right now in the big DraftKings tournament. So I'll be ready to swap once Buffalo one buries me. If I end up going underweight on them, or Eichel one off buries everyone again. But yeah, I mean, I think your average DFS player isn't paying attention to like something as simple as like getting the right line combos, especially later in the slate. Like yeah, they might be around at 6:30 Eastern time to see what happens, but after that, like guys are playing NBA, guys are doing whatever, spending time with the family as DraftKings wants everyone to do or whatever. But yeah, I mean, be around to make those swaps, especially because I think you were on like Buffalo one and Vegas. Like those games start right away during the slate. So if let's say if you don't have those teams and they're doing well early, you might need to swap to someone like maybe get off your Patrick Kane lineup or something like that and go elsewhere in one of the two later games because you're going to be so far behind if one of those two teams starts scoring a bunch of goals early. So I think it is a really good night to take advantage of late swap if you can. All right, let's talk about New Jersey and the aforementioned Buffalo Sabres. 2.9 implied total for the Devils, 3.1 for the Sabres. Louis Domingue confirmed for the Devils. Linus Ullmark expected to go for the Sabres. Devils with some new lines. Boquist up with Hischier and Palmieri, Zajac, Coleman, Gusev, and then Zaka with Taylor Hall in the third line and Jesper Bratt. What do you think of these new New Jersey lines? I mean, are they trading Hall? What's going on here?
Well, yeah, like that report came out that New Jersey's starting to listen to offers on Taylor Hall. And I mean, it makes sense, right? It doesn't look like New Jersey's going to get to the playoffs this year. They can probably get more for him now than they will in 2 or 3 months if they trade him closer towards the deadline. But it's one of those things, like, I can't imagine, like, Taylor Hall is going to start the game on the third line, but there's no way he plays third line minutes. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to end up 8th in total ice time among their forwards or something like that, unless he has an injury or he just gets flat out benched. So, like, I don't even hate just flat out ignoring Boqvist here. I mean, a lot of people are going to use him because he's part of the top line, but if you want to just use Taylor Hall instead of Boqvist, especially where they're all playing on the power play together. So at the very least, you're going to get that correlation. Then I'm fine with it. The problem is that Hall plus Hischier plus Kyle Palmieri is just stupid expensive. Like, they're over $20K between the three of them, and they're in a road matchup, and Hischier and Hall have combined for 7 goals this year. Like, I have no idea why they're priced so high. That's kind of the reason why I just don't have any of that New Jersey top line. I have no interest, especially because, one, I think Boqvist eventually is going to get moved down. Hall's going to get back up on that top line. And two, even if you add Hall in, yeah, you have the perfect correlation, but that line is just crazy expensive for a line that's on the road. I mean, it would probably make him lower owned, I think. But I'm just not somebody that just wildly overpays for a line because I think they might be under owned. So New Jersey's top line, I'm probably going to ignore. The second line I have more interest in. They're really cheap. It's Zajac, Gusev, and Coleman. In my power plays right up today for Osimo. I talked about Zajac specifically, and he's not a guy that you expect to go out and get a hat trick. Like, he's not going to go out and fire 7 shots on goal. He's a playmaker. He's good in transition. He's good at finding his teammates in the offensive zone. There are microstats that bear this out. So it kind of goes well that he's playing with Coleman and Gusev, who outside of Hall and Palmieri are probably the 2 best shooters on the team. So you get a good playmaker with 2 good shooters. Coleman certainly looks like he's turned around since, a bad first month of the season. Gusev, he leads the team in points per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. So I think this is a good spot for the New Jersey second line, especially if they can get matched up against those second and third lines from Buffalo. But it's one of those things, like, unless you're stacking them with one of the Vegas lines, like, there's really nowhere else that's so super expensive that you need the savings for New Jersey too. So I like them because they allow me to spend up for my defenseman. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing is I think I'm going to go one lineup tonight, and New Jersey 2 is one of the 2 lines that I'm considering for my secondary line. So I think on the New Jersey side, that's where I'm going to go. The Buffalo side is the top line or bust for me. Like, the depth lines just aren't doing anything. They're not generating a lot of shots. They're not generating any goals. The top line gets all the power play minutes. Like outside of maybe adding Jeff Skinner for a power play stack, and maybe you can replace Reinhardt or Olofsson or just add him in outright. I have no interest in the depth from Buffalo. Quick note that Henry Jokiharju was actually running the power play today in practice. He's a good puck-moving defenseman. He's 2,500. So if you want to stack him with the top line and just go full-out power play stack, I have no real issue with that.
Are you worried about the minutes with Buffalo running 7 defensemen tonight?
I mean, with Jokiharju at 2,500, you're not really that worried about minutes, right? Like if the guy was playing 15 or 16 minutes, that's all about all you can expect from that price range. So like a $2,500 player not playing 20 minutes doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, I guess that's probably more of a downgrade to a guy like Ristolainen or Montour or someone like that. It bumps their minutes down a couple. But for a min-salary player, if you're just going for the power play correlation, yeah, that actually does make sense. So I don't think I am unless the ownership is way out of hand. Like if he's like the top owned defenseman or something when we get ownership projections. Then...
Like I think he's going to be pretty crazy owned. Like,
think so?
It's not one of those secrets. Like, all the beat writers tweeted it out that he was on the top power play unit. So all the content providers are going to have it. All the Daily Face-Off and Left Wing Lock and all them are all going to have it. So everybody's going to know that he's 2,500 on the top power play unit. Like I could honestly see him being the highest owned defenseman on the slate.
Okay. Yeah, that might, when I filter my lineups down a little bit, I usually run more lineups than I need and try to cut down on some of the ones that I think are going to be more popular. So I'll just be more aware of the lineups that I have him in to make sure I'm being different elsewhere if I do go Buffalo 1 plus him. So that'd be the only thing I would caution there is just like make sure your lineups, like if you're using the 50K salary with Buffalo 1 and him, chances are you're probably going to have a good chance of being duped. And so you don't necessarily like that in a top-heavy GPP. If you're playing the $10 on DraftKings or whatever, the mini-max, whatever it is. Devil's side is really tough to try to make any stands on. I agree with you. I think Hall's going to get moved up at some point. He's not going to play like 13 minutes here. Like he's going to get his usual 20 or whatever it is. And I think maybe you just go with Hischier, Hall, Palmieri, like you said, and just go like what I'm probably going to do is just run a few lineups of them like they're all on the line together, hope that Hall gets moved off the third line and up to the first, and maybe they get a power play goal or something like that. I mean, it's a long shot playing this line at that price, but it's probably a combo that's going to be really low owned. And like none of the MME guys are really going to have that unless they're power play stacking. But I guess the thing that I'm worried about with New Jersey 1 is they haven't been good.
No,
like have you seen their line number? Like they're just not generating much of anything. So that's the thing I'm the most worried about. So I don't really know. Like I'm not going to have a ton of Devils. Anyways, I kind of like the call on the second line though. Pretty good filler stack, especially if you're going to Vegas. Any defensemen for the Devils here? You mentioned Skinner on the Sabres. Any other like depth lines we should talk about? It is a 5-game slate. I guess we can dive a little bit deeper if need be, but I'm not really seeing much of anything that's not painfully obvious, which is Buffalo 1.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, if you want to use somebody like Butcher on the like he gets secondary power play minutes, and he's a power play specialist, so if he's going to get some points, if he ever gets some points, they're probably going to be on the power play. It's basically like 50-50 for him based off his career. So if you want to use him as a one-off, like I'm fine with that. But like I find Sammy Vatanen just way overpriced at 5,300. I don't have a problem using him if you're stacking the New Jersey top power play unit. But again, that line's overpriced. Mm-hmm. He's overpriced. You put them all in together, it's like $26K for New Jersey 1 power play stack. So, I can't get there. And like even PK Subban, like I was hoping he'd be cheap, given he only has 6 or 7 points on the year. Like I thought he'd be a lot less than 4,800 by now. And New Jersey. Like you say, the top line has bad numbers, but like whenever I try to go through their team, it seems like it's not necessarily the forwards are struggling. It's that the defensemen are really struggling to get the puck to the forwards, and they can't generate transition going through the neutral zone. If you can't generate a transition with speed in today's NHL, you're just dead in the water.
Yeah.
And they're having a real problem doing that. So that's why, like, I'm not really high on any of the New Jersey defensemen. Like I said, if you want to go with Butcher as a one-off just because he gets some secondary power play minutes, I'm fine with that. But outside of that second line, I'm pretty much out. Maybe that second line, I'm pretty much out on New Jersey as a whole.
If you were playing Buffalo 1 tonight, would you be stacking up the full line? Like, it feels like every time Buffalo has a big game, it's Eichel and then no one else really getting involved. Or would you, like, is there any reason we shouldn't be stacking up Buffalo 1, all three forwards together?
I think the one guy you can probably leave off is Reinhart, right?
Okay.
Because if Victor Olofsson goes off, like Olofsson hasn't looked very good at 5-on-5 this year. He just looks like a sniper on the power play. So if that power play goes off, there's a good chance it goes off because he gets a couple power play goals.
Okay.
So, I have no problem if you want to leave off Reinhart and add in Skinner, or just leave off Reinhart altogether and go with, Eichel Skinner or Eichel Olofsson or something like that, plus Jokiharju, to try to differentiate a little bit, and hopefully, Reinhart doesn't figure it in, then I'm fine with that. Because I really do think if the Buffalo power play goes off, it'll mostly be because of Eichel and Olofsson.
Fair enough. All right, let's go to Vegas and the New York Rangers. 3.5 implied total for the Golden Knights. It's come up quite a bit. Rangers total has also come up a little bit. They're at 3 flat right now. We've got Malcolm Subban and Henrik Lundqvist in net. Rangers have mixed up their lines quite a bit. I don't exactly know what they had last game. I think these actually were the lines they had last game, but it was Zibanejad with Lemieux and Buchnevich, Strome centering Panarin and Kakko, and then Edel with Kreider and Jesper Fast. Anything on the Rangers side you like? And then where's Vegas on your hierarchy of lines tonight? Both lines, because they've got two that are really awesome, and then a third line that's pretty good as far as filler stacks go.
Yeah, so I want to talk about Vegas first because I think it is an interesting spot here because they're both identical prices, right? They're both 19.3. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a good argument to make for each line for different reasons. Like, I've written about this. I write about season-long fantasy hockey over at Dauber Hockey, and I've written about how the Vegas top line of Marchessault, Smith, and Carlson is kind of due for some good luck and fortunate bounces on the power play. And the Rangers are one of the most penalized teams in the NHL. So if you're looking for a reason outside of the Rangers being bad at 5-on-5 defensively, to use the top line, if you're looking for something specific, it would be that the Rangers take a lot of penalties, and the Vegas top line, not only do they generate shots, but they're due for some bounces. They've seen some bad luck this year. Now, the thing is that Vegas top line is probably going to see Zibanejad, Buchnevich, and Lemieux. And I think, like, the Rangers aren't good defensively, but I think that's a decent defensive line. You know what I mean? So I think of all the matchups that Vegas could possibly get, that line is the worst matchup for any Vegas line. So then you go down to Stastny, Carlson, and Pacioretty. They're probably going to see easier 5-on-5 matchups. Like, they're probably going to see the Strome line with Panarin and Kakko. Like, I don't think that's a very good defensive line at all. The third line might be fine because Chris Kreider is there, but I think they're going to match up third line against third line. So I think the advantage for Vegas' second line in this game, if you're looking for something other than specifically that the Rangers are bad defensively at 5-on-5, is that I think that second line for the Rangers is going to be much worse defensively than the first line. But the second line's not due for the same luck as on the power play. So, like, there are different reasons to like both Vegas top lines here tonight. Both are going to be popular. For me specifically, I'm not going to say I'm using. I like the Carlson line better just because I think you really want to take advantage of the Rangers penalty kill. Like, they are averaging, it's something like 3.78 or 3.79 power plays given up per game. And I think that's second in. Like, you can't be giving up that many power plays to a team with all the offensive weapons that Vegas has. And then not only that, but they are expensive at 19.3, but Nicholas Hague looks like he's running the top power play unit, and not Nate Schmidt. And that'll save you like 2,600 or 2,700 or even more off the total cost of the stack. So if you want to just full out stack the Vegas top line, you can add Hag in there. And it's, he's only a few $100s more expensive than Jokiharju, I think. So that's kind of where I'm at with Vegas. On the Rangers side, I do like it, the Strome, Panarin, Kako line, partly for the power play correlation, partly because I think they're going to see a lot more ice. Like that third line had some appeal for me, but I don't think they're going to see enough ice time. So I think for me on the Rangers side, it's going to be that second line. I think they're going to get a little bit overlooked. The specific reason that I like that second line, along with the power play correlation, is that Vegas gives up a ton of shots on the power play or on the penalty kill. Like the penalty kill hasn't been that great. It's been Marc-Andre Fleury that's kind of saved them. And as you mentioned, it's Subban starting tonight with Fleury away from the team for personal reasons. So I want to get as much as that Rangers top power play. If I'm playing the Rangers, I want to get as much of that top power play unit as I can. So that's why I'm probably going to look more towards the second line, as well as Tony DeAngelo on the blue line.
Nice. Yeah, really good PP spot for both. I mean, you mentioned the amount of penalties the Rangers have been taking. I think they've got almost 100 times shorthanded in 25 games. Like they're close to leading the league just in a raw number, and they played like 3 or 4 less games than a lot of teams up in the top 10. You just can't overstate how bad they are defensively. They are leading the league in Corsi against per 60, scoring chances against per 60, expected goals, high danger chances. I mean, just everything in terms of 5-on-5, and then they're bad on the penalty kill too and take a lot of penalties. So maybe a Vegas Josh stack is in order if you can somehow get creative with it. The problem would be you can't really stack your 6 forwards. Maybe you could double punt after that and punt a goalie in another game, but I don't know. You'd probably have to leave off one of the more expensive forwards, whether that be Pacioretty or Stone or Carlson or someone, and just pure punt the rest of your lineup. Add in Hag or something like you said. But yeah, I really love the spot for Vegas. I think this is my favorite spot, and I like that I like that there's 2 or maybe 3 lines in play here because I think neither line is going to be over maybe 15%. So that's appealing for both. I think there's a pretty good chance I'm overweight on both of the top 2 Vegas lines, and then definitely on the third one as well. Defenseman, let's see. You mentioned Hag. Was that this morning in?
No,
did they run
didn't run anything in practice,
okay.
But he ran that power play unit, all 3 power plays in their last game.
All right. Well, there you go. Nice little nugget there. He is min salary on DraftKings, $2,500. That makes Schmidt a lot tougher to play because he doesn't correlate to one line. He's at 6K. We have him at that's the stack point ranking. We have him at a C value, C points grade. Pretty tough to get to a lot of Nate Schmidt for me. Theodore's probably going to be my highest exposed defenseman on the slate. I just love Theodore here, and I think you can play him. You can play him with either line, but he goes a little bit better probably with the Stastny, Pacioretty, Stone line then, right? He was running that power play. Okay, so I'm going to have to make that manual change. If you guys are using Fantasy Cruncher or whatever optimizer you like, you're going to have to make that change if you're running power play stacks. So I'll make a note of that to do that afterwards. But yeah, I love Shea Theodore and then Hag. Nice punt there. What about defensemen? Oh, you mentioned DeAngelo. I like that call, 4,500. Isn't he? I saw some article about how bad he was defensively. Maybe actually it might have been tweets from you.
Yeah, I was talking about it last night on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, good for DFS, right? Because he's talented offensively. And he's
that's the thing. He's not good defensively. Flat out. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it or anything like that. He's not good defensively at all. But if you look at his micro stats, possession exit percentage and possession entry percentage, getting out of the zone and getting into the zone with possession, which we found doubles the rate of shots for a team when they enter the zone. He's in the 99th percentile of all defensemen over the last 3 years. It's absolutely insane how good this guy is in transition. It's just, I'd liken him to a Morgan Riley. He's Morgan Riley Jr. He's just exceptional offensively, he does things a lot better than people thinks he does, but he's just terrible in his own end. And that's why it's hard for coaches to play him 24 minutes a night. That's why he's usually playing 18, 19 minutes a night.
Are you worried about Rangers lines getting messed up tonight? I know it's kind of a theme, but that's the thing I'm worried about with them. Because who's safe on whose line? I mean, maybe Strome and Panarin, right?
I say Strome and Panarin stay together because they've been together since Zibanejad got injured, and they stayed together even after he came back. Okay. So I have no problem saying that those two stay together. It seems like I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves from David Quinn's quotes that they want to leave Kakko with Strome or with Panarin, to try to develop some chemistry for future seasons or even the second half of the year. So I think that second line is safe, but the first and third lines, I think you'll see Buchnevich. He could easily move down if they want to, move fast up because they want another defensively reliable person on the top line to go with Zibanejad. I could see that happening. Fast is a game time decision on its own, so they might be going with 11 forwards here. We just don't know yet. So I am worried about the first and third lines changing. That second line, at the very least, Strome and Panarin will probably stay together. I'm assuming that whole line stays together the entire game.
Yeah, that's probably the safest one, and it's the one with two guys in the top power play. So I think you're right on the call there as far as lines you want to have the most exposure to on the Rangers, just because. Yeah, Buchnevich, I mean, he's never safe on any line, it seems like, no matter what. And then Lemieux, kind of a new thing. If they get down, you might just be dead if you have the Zibanejad, Buchnevich, Lemieux stack. So I'm probably going to mute my exposure on them and try to get a little bit more of Strome, Panarin, and Kakko. But I think the Rangers are going to score here. 3 implied total. That's actually one of the best on the slate. And
yeah, it's a big downgrade going from Fleury to Subban.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people are high on Subban. I just haven't seen him be even consistently average in the NHL ever since he stepped foot. So I think this is one of the bigger downgrades from starting goalie to backup goalie. And I'm not even a big goalie truther guy. I only think there are 4 or 5 good goalies in the NHL. It just happens to be that Fleury's one of them.
Yeah. Islanders, Red Wings, 3.3 implied total for the Islanders, 2.3 for the Red Wings, Semyon Varlamov and Jonathan Bernier in net. I think these Islanders lines are confirmed. I can't remember, though. Barzal with Lee and Barzal with Lee and Bailey, Nelson with Beauvillier and Derek Brassard. That I guess Eberle technically is on the fourth line. They treat the Cizikas, Martin, Clutterbuck line like the top line some games. So who really knows here? The Islanders are a pretty frustrating team to try to stack. But do you like anything on their side? And then what are you doing with Detroit 1 here? Do you think they're going to be popular? Do you think we should care at all?
I mean, I'm pretty much out on Detroit, in general. I don't mind using Larkin as a one-off. I really don't. His price has come down considerably. He's on a 9-game goalless streak, but if you look at his shots per game, he's still putting up 3 shots per game in that span. It's just a dry spell for him personally. So I honestly don't mind using Larkin as a one-off, and I think that'd be a good way to differentiate some lines. If you're worried about somebody getting moved, let's say in the New Jersey game, if you're worried about Bachfist being moved off or somebody, Buchnevich being moved off the line in the Rangers, just take them off and put Larkin in the utility instead. Because I think, if Detroit gets 2 or 3 goals here tonight, he's probably going to figure in because there's nobody else that can do anything really. So that's kind of where I'm at with Detroit. Sometimes I use Hronek too. I just don't think this is a good matchup. Even strength, penalty kill, anything for Hronek. So on the Detroit side, I literally have only interest in one-off Larkin, and that's it. As far as the Islanders go, I think obviously you want to use one of the top 2 lines because you want to attack Detroit's terrible penalty kill. There's some metrics by which Detroit ranks last in the league on the penalty kill, so they're amongst the bottom 3. The problem with the Barzal power play is that if you look back at their last game, Barzal played on the top power play unit the first time, the second power play unit the second time, and then both power play units the third time. So there's no real telling exactly which power play unit he's going to be on. I'm assuming he's going to play with his line mates, but really that's just a guess. They honestly used him on 3 different power play setups in the last game. So what exactly they're going to do in this one is anybody's guess. But whichever power play unit he's on is the one that tends to produce more shots, and more shots usually lead to more goals. So I'm assuming that's going to be his top line. I'm not really worried about matchups here. Whether he has to face off against Larkin, whether he has to face off against Phil Kula or whomever. Matchups aren't really a consideration for me in this game. One thing I will say is that I still don't, even in a good matchup like this for the Islanders, I still don't think this is a good offensive team with good offensive lines by any measure. So, they're probably going to be pretty popular because they're not expensive. And they are in a good spot. So people that don't want to pay 19 or 20K or whatever for Vegas are probably going to gravitate to here. And I think you're going to see Barzal, especially individually, up near 15 to 20%. I don't have a problem with fading the Islanders in this game, honestly, just using some guys on their penalty kill because of how bad Detroit's power play is. I really don't have a problem fading the Islanders in this game. If I was going to use anybody, it would be the top line. I do like Pulock here, though. Pulock has been shooting more. He was shooting a lot more in November than he was in October. His price is still somewhat down. He is on the second power play unit, so he'll get some power play time against his bad penalty kills. So Pulock is a guy I don't mind using as a one-off. Devin Taves, I think if you want to use him, you'd probably have to use him as part of a power play stack. I don't think he goes off unless the power play goes off. So if you're going to use him, I'd use him with Barzal and Lee and those guys.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up perfectly. I mean, on Detroit side, for me, it's the same thing. It's Detroit 1 or nothing. I'm probably going to full stack it. They have been good at generating chances in their couple games together. I don't think that Goaltending is a long-term fixture on that top line.
I can't believe he's on the top line.
Yeah, so it's Helm.
It's so depressing.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Helm spent a bunch of time up there in recent years. So when Mantha goes out, I mean, I don't expect that line to be very good defensively. So I agree on the matchups. I think we're probably going to see some higher ownership on Barzal, Lee, and Bailey just because kind of the bigger names. Who knows, like you said, who knows with the power plays. I think I'm going to be overweight on the Nelson line, though, actually. I just like how they've played. I think they might see less time against Larkin. It's going to be favorable regardless. So don't get off of the Barzal line if you're on them because they might see some more time against Larkin. But, yeah, I think the second and third lines are probably going to be pretty bad for Detroit. So I like the second line a little bit more. That's the line I lean to. I think they're going to have a little bit lower ownership too. And then I like the Pulock call. 5K, I think you can one off him. You can play him with pretty much whoever since we don't know what the power plays are going to be. And that's really all I have here. Hronik, 4,200. Let's see. I don't even know if I got to him. I got to 9% of him. So there you go. He's going to be my highest owned Detroit defenseman. And then that is really about it. This game is pretty gross.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even one of those games where I'd have interest in the goalies, right? Because,
No.
I don't think, I can't imagine there's going to be a high shot volume on either side. The Islanders don't generate a lot, even though it's a good matchup. They're on the road. And Detroit just doesn't generate anything. And, the Islanders don't give up anything. So, 8,200 Varlamov on the road, that screams 22 shots, 2 goals against or something like that.
I think that's the more likely scenario. Even the winning goalie here, do they break 20 DK points? I don't even know.
No. I'd take the under on the winning goalie head unless it's a shutout.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need here. Bernier and Varlamov. I mean, I don't know. Not really my cup of tea when it comes to goalies. Even though I'm correlating, I'm gonna have more Varlamov because I'm gonna have probably more Islander stacks. But yeah, not my highest exposure goalies here in this game. Barely gonna have any Bernier. It looks like. We are presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. Got to mention them. Use promo code AWESEMO to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points when you sign up. Yahoo Sports rewards points are literally free money for DFS games. So read Emacs article from today for the primetime slate. If you're playing Showdown, again, Showdown rankings are free, but go over and play on Yahoo. I've been playing some more NHL over there. I think the tournaments are really soft. So I'm just putting in, like, I'm 3-maxing this $12, and it's worked out for me lately. So I don't know. Go play over there. You don't necessarily have to play the $12. Play the $3. Build the bankroll. And then you can take some stabs at other sports. NBA's got some pretty big contests. I think their NBA baller tournament already filled today, so that's good to see. I think it's a 12% management fee compared to 16%, which you're going to pay on FanDuel and DraftKings. And they've got their NFL contest loaded for week 14 we are already in. So go check those out. They've got some Monday through Thursday contests. Bunch of good stuff going on Yahoo. So go support them. They support us, so it's only right. Let's go to St. Louis and Chicago. We've got a 3.2 implied total for the Blues, 2.8 for the Blackhawks. Jake Allen and Corey Crawford in net. Crawford coming off a tough go against Nathan McKinnon and the Avs in his last start. Does St. Louis play tomorrow? Is that why they're starting Jake Allen here? I'm guessing that's probably why they're starting Allen. But
Yeah, it must be. I didn't check tomorrow's slate.
either way, as far as like news and notes go here, not sure what's going on with the Blackhawks line. They are listed to Brinkat with Carpenter and Kane. I know they spent a good majority of the game, their last game against Colorado, with that trio, Saad, Tays, and Nylander. That's pretty much stuck together for the most part. Camp with Kubalik and this new fellow, Wedin. He's mid-salary, expected to play in the second unit. I think the lineup sites are guessing as far as Blackhawks lines go right now. So I wouldn't put a ton of stock into this. It's frustrating because it's an 8:30 p.m. Eastern lock, and that's obviously going to be, let's see, an hour after lock before you know what's going on. 3 games will already have started. Nathan Walker up on the top line with Shannon Schwartz, O'Reilly and Perron with Zach Sanford, and then not really concerned about the rest. So unpacking all that, is there anything you like in this game? Like if you're playing 1 to 3 lineups, is this game, or at least the Blackhawks side, like what are you comfortable playing here? Patrick Kane?
Okay. Yeah, okay. So in my Power Plays article, I wrote up the Taves Nylander, what was supposed to be the Taves Sad Shaw line. We found out at practice at our game day skate today, about 3 hours ago, that Shaw was going to be out tonight. So obviously don't play him. He was super cheap on DraftKings. I believe he was 2,900, but he was like 42 or 4,300 on FanDuel. So it was a big discrepancy, which is why he was in my article. But funny thing about the Blackhawks lines, I was talking to a friend about an hour ago, and the Blackhawks had a bunch of dogs at practice today. So there's a bunch of, content on their social media, looking at the dogs and people petting the dogs and stuff like that. And the Blackhawks didn't run lines at their game day skate, but analyzing the videos, a buddy of mine saw Kirby Dach skating with Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat in the same colored jerseys. And Dach had been playing with them basically up until a couple games ago.
Okay.
So if you look at their dog videos on Twitter, you can see Dach and DeBrincat and Kane skating in the same sweaters. So I honestly, until he told me that, I had no interest in the Blackhawks in this game. But I don't imagine a lot of people will have Kirby Dach playing with Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat. So it could be like a decent leverage spot for this line. So like I'm kind of torn on what to do here because like it's not a great matchup. It's kind of fine, but I think just being able to have that particular line combination over a lot of the field would give you a huge advantage on a 5-game slate. So I'm kind of torn on what to do here. Maybe I might have to go sleuth some more Twitter videos to make sure that they were skating the same color jerseys, but the same color jerseys would indicate that they're going to skate on the same line together. Yeah. So, I know some people might be excited about the St. Louis top line because Nathan Walker's like 2,700 or something like that. But honestly, like outside of Buffalo or the top Vegas lines, this isn't a slate where you really need savings. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of really cheap lines all over the place. So don't let Nathan Walker being 2,700 guide your slate tonight. If you like the line and like the spot, independent of him, then fine. Just it's not, oh, Nathan Walker's on the top line at 2,700. I have to play that line. That's not the case at all. So I'm probably not. If anything, I honestly think the way to go with St. Louis would be a full power play stack, and that'd be O'Reilly, Perron, Shen, Schwartz with Pietrangelo, because that power play unit is, since Tarasenko got hurt, has actually been really good. Like if you look at it, it's like 10 goals per 60 minutes, which is huge. Chicago has a horrific penalty kill, like bottom 5 in the league. So I don't mind just a full out power play stack from St. Louis. I don't know if I'm going to get to that point. I think that feels like a 150 lineup type thing rather than, maybe even a 20 max if you want to throw one St. Louis power play lineup in there. So that's kind of where I'm at now. If you're playing a ton of lineups, St. Louis power play stack for me. On the Chicago side, I think I'm honestly gonna play Dak, Kane, and DeBrincat. Worst things comes to worst, DeBrincat and Kane are gonna play on the same line. So,
and you could swap down too.
Yeah, exactly. If it is Carpenter, Doc is $1,000 more expensive. Yeah. So you can leave a late defenseman that you can swap up to if you want, like maybe leave $1,000 so you can get up to, Doughty or Fowler or whomever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against leaving salary on the table anyways. So that's likely how I'm going to run my crunch too is, I mean, I wasn't going to until you said that, but that's some hard-hitting analysis. The dog videos, I mean, seeing guys with the same sweaters in the backgrounds, the people that watch the show might hear it, but no one's going to know this kind of thing. And so if Daily Faceoff and Left Wing Lock don't update it, that is a huge potential edge, even if it doesn't work out. I think that's probably the right way to approach it. And just, you can always swap down. You can go down to Kampf or Carpenter if it ends up being one of those two guys. If it's Taves, that's going to suck because you're not going to be able to get up to him. But at least you've got an educated guess as far as what it could be, and you still have some outs if he's not actually on that line. Plus, you're going to get Kane and DeBrincat skating on the same line. They've basically been together the whole season. So I like the call there as far as how to approach Chicago. Not all that interested in Taves, Saad, and Nylander. I don't think it's going to be a great matchup for them, regardless of which line they go up against. Let's see, Shen, Schwartz, and Walker. Would you consider playing Walker in cash? Is he a high-volume shooter? Does he project to be?
No.
Okay.
Not for me. And that's kind of why, that's why I'm not really high on that line. I honestly think he's just a fringe NHLer that's having a really good little stretch.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Some people were excited about him. I saw on Twitter and Slack, I think, too. If you like the line, just play him with the line. But he's not going to be on the power play with Shannon Schwartz. He's a secondary piece. He's, like you said, he's not a reason to, get on St. Louis 1, I don't think. I think I like O'Reilly, Perron, and Sanford actually a little bit better as a full stack. They've got some time together. The numbers, honestly, aren't very good. But I think we do see some pretty decent ownership on Shen, Schwartz, and Walker. And maybe the same or a little bit less ownership on O'Reilly, Perron, and Sanford, especially. I think people will leave off Sanford, whereas they're not as likely to leave off the new toy with Walker at $300 cheaper. Pietrangelo and Parayko are two guys I actually really like. So I'll be playing those guys a bunch as one-offs or Pietrangelo with either of the top two lines. And then on the Blackhawks side, I kind of like DeHaan a little bit. He's 3K, just block shots. He's been shooting kind of a lot lately and putting up a bunch of double-digit DK games. So maybe a guy you can possibly punt with. Gustafsson is their top power play guy. Do you like playing Gustafsson with Doc and DeBrincat and Kane?
Oh, yeah. Right. And, I'm with you on DeHaan as well. He was the guy that I actually wrote him down as a target because it kind of seems like he was injured last year and he kind of had a bad season. And I think that, people forget, he was actually, a pretty good defenseman before last year. It looked like it was just a one-off thing, and he's kind of back to his old self here now. Okay.
Yeah, so, Mata, you could maybe punt with Murphy, too. There's possible guys on the blue line for the Blackhawks. Seabrook's 3,200, and I guess expected to get PP2 time. Terrible real-life player, but This is DFS, so sometimes you got to play bad players. All right, let's go to the last game, Kings and Ducks. We've got a 2.5 implied total for the Kings, 2.9 for the Ducks. Jack Campbell going up against Ryan Miller. It's the night of the backup goalie, apparently. Campbell not confirmed, but he's likely, and then Miller is confirmed. John Gibson is sick. The only A player that I saw in Osmo's grades, A points grade, A value grade for Ryan Miller, $8,200. I mean, is he a guy you'd be looking at here? I know you don't like to pay up for goalie all that often, but do you like the
Yeah,
spot
I
you're
don't.
in?
I don't. But one of the guys pointed out in Slack earlier, and it's true. Like this looks like the Los Angeles Kings of old, like of 5 years ago, when they could generate a ton of shots but couldn't generate a ton of goals. And it's just they don't have goal scorers. Like Anze Kopitar is not a goal scorer. Jeff Carter used to be. Is he still? I don't know. Tyler Toffoli is, but they don't really give him a lot of ice time. And then outside of that, there's just nobody on the team that can score. So that I do like Miller. Like he's one of my favorite goalies on the slate. You're right. I don't usually pay up, but I'll pay up for almost any goalie against the Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Miller probably going to be my highest exposed goalie. He's going to be popular too, just because people are going to have salary left over. But yeah, I like the call on Alex's grades, AA. I think the Ducks actually did skate right before we got on the show. So let me go dig up these lines. I believe we saw top line Devon Shore. I think it was.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't. Yeah, they didn't say for sure that's what it's going to be, but the projected lineup was Shore with Getzlaf and Troy Terry.
Yikes. So then it was Henrik Silfverberg and I think, man, was it?
No, it was Sam Steele between Ricard Raquel and Jacob Silverberg. Henry got bumped down to the third line.
Henrik with Richie and Kasha. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you like any line in this game?
No, not anymore. I had interest in the top two Anaheim lines until Raquel got booted down to the second line. Like I have no interest in playing Getzlaf with Troy Terry and Devon Shore. Like who's going to score on that line?
Brutal.
Silverberg, Raquel, and Steele is fine, but like Steele's a bad player. Like I liked him a lot as a prospect, but he's been bad in the NHL. Like there's no two ways around it. So now you're moving Raquel from a good center to a bad center. Silverberg's going to help, but do I really want to play that line? And then you're dipping down to the third line with Richie, Henrik, and Kasha. Pass. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Once those lines came out, once those projected lines came, like I had Anaheim top line. I'm going one lineup tonight, and I had the Anaheim top line in my lineup, and I took them out because I have no interest in playing any of these lines, even in this matchup. They just look terrible. Like I don't mind playing one-offs. Steele, Silverberg, and Raquel all have perfect power play correlation now, but they're not on the same power play unit as Getzlaf and Fowler. So how much good is it to have perfect power play correlation if you don't have any good players on the power play? So like that lineup news honestly changed a lot for me. Like I don't really have a lot of interest in Anaheim. I know I was just extolling the virtues of Ryan Miller, but I do have interest in that second Los Angeles line. I believe it's still Amadio, Carter, and Toffoli, generating over 70 shot attempts per 60 minutes, which is huge. Their expected goals is actually at 3.2, which is a monster number per 60 minutes. So if you're paying up for Buffalo 1 or Vegas 1 or Vegas 2, and you do need that cheap second line, I imagine that Los Angeles second line is going to come in at fairly low ownership tonight. So I do kind of like using them, and I have them stacked with Doughty because Doughty has been playing both halves of the power play of late.
Yeah, I really like that LA2 line. I saw the numbers for them too. They look pretty impressive, and they're really cheap, and they've not been getting much ownership at all. I keep thinking like we've been kind of off on them on ownership projections. Like they're coming in on bigger slates at like 1% ownership, and that's what we're projecting them at. And then the tournament comes around and just no one's playing this line. And maybe it's because of the low totals for the Kings, but I don't think people are going to play them that much tonight outside maybe with Buffalo 1, or if you stack up New Jersey power play, or Vegas with Schmidt or Theodore or something like that. But I just like them in general. like the way they've been playing. So I will go back to LA too. On the Duck side, it's really tough. I like Kasha at 4K. Just that's a good price. So maybe I get to a few Ducks 3 shares. I know this line's had some success at 5-on-5. If it is going to end up being Henrique with Richie and Kasha, I know that line's been decent at 5-on-5 going back to last season, and maybe they get some softer matchups. But yeah, as far as like getting overweight on one of these Ducks lines, I don't think I'm going to be making a major stand on any of them outside of just kind of getting away from them. This game is equally as gross as the Detroit game, I think. What about defensemen here? Doughty, we've got Walker. Those are the two guys playing on the power play, or at least listed there for the Kings. Fowler, Lindholm. Any blue liners here you're interested in?
Yeah, Doughty's like, I hate just picking out the most expensive guy, but I really do like Doughty in this matchup. Like, Anaheim's defensive numbers have really been sliding since the start of the year, so I think this is a better matchup for Los Angeles than most people would realize, especially with like Miller's a downgrade from Gibson. I don't think it's a downgrade as big as the one in Vegas, but Gibson's probably the best goaltender in the league, so it's anybody else is going to be a downgrade. So I do like Doughty at 5,500. I don't mind. I think he's still playing with Sean Walker, so if you need to save some money, but you still want a top pair defenseman, I don't mind moving down to Sean Walker. I don't really have any interest on the Anaheim side. Like, if you want to stack one of the power play units and then use Fowler or Lindholm with them, fine with that. But outside of that, like, I'm not using any one-off Anaheim defenseman here tonight.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in Anaheim defensemen. I'm getting to some Doughty and Walker, top pairing guys, 5,500, 3,600. I think they're priced fairly. We'll talk about goalies in just a second. If you've got any queued up that you want to talk about quick, people are asking for goalie chat or goalie in chat. We've got a Cyber Monday deal going on. Wanted to make sure I got this in before everybody leaves the stream. $1 special. Use promo code Cyber Monday to get an Osmo Plus Platinum weekly pass. Just $1, and you get everything on the site. That's not including FC. You can add that on if you want for an additional charge, but $1. This offer expires tonight, basically, 2 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday, so in a few hours here. So you got to use this up. I see a bunch of people already have, but if you haven't and you want to try us out for a week, feel free. It's $1, and you won't be charged for 7 days. So pretty cool offer in the spirit of Cyber Monday. If you guys want to see this tweet, check that out. So you remember the promo code. Once again, Cyber Monday is the promo code. All right, any goalies that jump off the page? I mean, we kind of talked about Miller there. Anyone besides him that you'd be considering for like 1 to 3 to 5 lineups or something like that?
Yeah, like we said, Miller's probably the guy that I would look to the most. Corey Crawford would probably be next for me. Chicago, like Crawford and Lundqvist would probably be the next two guys. Like, I always just chase shot volume. And I can't imagine that those two guys don't see the most shot volume here tonight, and they're both pretty cheap, 7,400 and 7,300 respectively. So those are probably the three goalies I'm going to be looking at the most. It's going to be Lundqvist or Crawford or Miller. There aren't really any road goalies I want here tonight. Like St. Louis doesn't allow a ton of shots and they're on the road. The Islanders don't allow a ton of shots. They're on the road. Vegas doesn't allow a ton of shots. They're on the road. Buffalo doesn't take a lot of shots, so New Jersey. Not that I'd want to play any New Jersey goalie, but I don't think they're going to see a lot of volume either. So for me, it's going to be Crawford. It's going to be between Crawford, Lundqvist, and Miller. Miller's probably my favorite. Like, that's the guy. If I was playing cash games, that's the guy that I would lean to. If you want leverage in a GPP, like Lundqvist, if Lundqvist posts a shutout or a 1 goal against game, something like that, you're probably going to leapfrog 25, 30% of the field because so many people will be playing Vegas. So if you want giant leverage, then that'd be the other place to go. And I think Crawford has less blow up potential just because I don't think St. Louis can score a ton with their current lineup configurations. That's generally why I'm not high on St. Louis here tonight. So yeah, those 3 home goalies for me, I'll be picking between those for my lineup.
Yep, I like the call on all those. Miller, Crawford, and Lundqvist are actually my top 3 guys right now as well. So we're definitely on the same page there. I'm pretty much cool with playing any goalie as a one. I mean, any goal that's going to get decent volume or is cheap. The guys I'm not getting too much of tonight that I won't be getting to a lot of are Allmark, Bernier, and Domingue. So I get it. Domingue's cheap. Bernier's cheap, but I just don't project them to see a lot of volume. So, like, I think Lundqvist has massive upside. Crawford obviously has massive upside if he's right. And then I think Miller does have some upside too. You mentioned Kings, like low total, but they're projected to see a decent amount of shots or generate a decent amount of shots here. So there's still some upside for 8,200. That's where you're seeing the AA grade, point grade and value grade. So if you guys want to check out the NHL lineup builder, it is free today. This is what I have on the screen. Go check that out. Export some lineups. Go check out Awesemo's NBA game plan live stream. Shout out to Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. We love playing over there. Get some lower management fees. Save yourself some money. Go up against some weaker competition. Yahoo is a great place to do that. Showdown rankings. If you guys are playing NFL Showdown, check those out. I mean, why not? They're free today. So you see some interesting names up at the top, guys that I have not even heard of in years. But that's the beauty of Showdown. Sometimes you just got to get those guys that no one else is going to be on. Yeah, man, single game slates are crazy. I've had some massive swings playing Showdown over the weekend. Can't all be like Drewby and just bink once a week, you know?
No, the rest of us have to beg for our change.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. And you got any last words, Cliffy?
Yeah, just play. I don't know. My favorite player on the entire slate's Alex Pietrangelo, so I'll just say that.
All right, perfect. I love it. Good luck tonight, guys.
Good luck.